Where are you, Mike? Mike and I ran into one another at Stafford during the Sizzler, and I didn't make the show, and he was walking around after a blown motor at New Smyrna. So I walked up to him and I said, "You got your helmet, Mike?" And he goes, "Yep." I said, "You want to drive the non-qualifiers?" And he says, "Yep." So that was 1980, and we got together, and we raced that year. And Mike was a rookie, and I was a dumb car owner. But Mike taught me a lot in that year. We raced weekly at Thompson, and we finished fourth in points. And you say, big deal, fourth. But Jerry Cook was third, Ronnie Bouchard was second, and Richie was the winner. And Mike ran wheel to wheel with those guys all year and did a hell of a job. And, of course, Mike went on to great things in the Bush North, Pro Stock, and chassis building. He was taking a lot of my business away, by the way. But he had great character. He was very polite, never hurt equipment, and did a hell of a job for a lot of good people. And I think that's why I nominated him a couple of years ago for this Hall of Fame. And I'm happy to say, Mike Weeden, congratulations. You're the latest Hall of Fame member. Now you got to talk.
Thank you, Rolly.
Yeah, great to know you, buddy.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank April May, Preston Elms, Paul Massey, and Nicholas Tito for making this possible. I would also like to express my gratitude for all those who voted for me and congratulate the other inductees. When I was young, I used to sell ice cream in the stands at Pines and Hudson Speedways. Well, I got hooked. I thought racing was the neatest thing in the world. So I had to race. When I was young, well, I got a little lost here. Here we go. I knew I had to race, but getting my first race car wasn't easy. I was only 14 years old and still in trade school. When I got out of trade school, I would hitchhike 15 miles to a junkyard to work all weekend. The owner would feed me, let me sleep on his living room floor, give me a ride home come Sunday night, and hand me a $5 bill. I did this all winter with the understanding that come springtime, I could have any car, motor, parts I needed to build my first race car. Of course, I picked out a nice 55 Chevy, and I was on my way. I picked up some valuable help early on from Bob Bixby, my trade school buddies Phil Burrill and Dave Simard. In 74, I got a few wins at Star and Hudson Speedway, Larry Whitman's Modified, along with a couple of top 3 finishes in open mod shows at Westboro Speedway behind a red-hot George Summers. We decided to build a new race car for the 75 season at Seekonk and Westboro Speedways. Well, the good finishes were hard to come by. We later learned that car was about 400 pounds too heavy. In 77, I returned to Westboro with help from longtime Ollie Silver associate John Halloran and a much lighter car, and we won the Westboro Modified Championship. In 78, Bob Ramstrom gave me a great opportunity to race his modified, along with help from Dickie Byron, and his son Richard. Then came another big break in 1980. Rolly Lindblad asked me to drive his car, his modified. To this day, it's the fastest modified I ever drove. One day, after shutting down the night before, concerned about motor problems, Rolly wanted to make sure I was getting everything out of the car. So he said to me, "Kid, if you want to drive this race car, you drive it as hard as you can till the wheels fall off, the motor blows up, or you crash. And if the motor's going to blow it up because it's no damn good anyhow." We got along pretty good after that. The success with Rolly opened the door for more opportunities in other good cars. Ross Nichioski's 34 modified, George Church's NASCAR North in 85, and in 86 I teamed up with Buddy DeRocha and Harry Franson to run the super modified. Then again with Buddy and Harry in 87, but this time in the Busch Grand National North car. In 88, I teamed up with Dennis Gagliardi, Norm Wren, and Ralph Scavardi to run Pro Stocks. We ended up winning the Star and Lee Pro Stock Championships, along with a Triple Crown Series at Oxford a little later on. We did this with the help of Brian Banker, Craig Carter, Steve Butnick, and our longtime scorer, Gail Trask. Then we set our sights on the Busch Grand National North Series in the 90s. Somewhere along the line, Dennis got this notion that I drove better when I was mad. So just before the feature, he would say or do something just to tick me off. In 93, I teamed up with Bob Nolette, Jim St. Jean, with motors from Nat Chevatone, and together we ran the Actor and the Pro Stocks. In 95, with the help of a great crew, which included Bob's brother Jimmy Nolette and Jimmy Bonnier, we won Pro Stock championships at Star, Lee, and Thompson with the one car we had. One weekend, we had to qualify for the Oxford 250 and then beeline it to Star Speedway for the evening show there. Well, after qualifying, I didn't bother to change out of my fire suit. I took off down Route 26 with my crew, only to get stopped for speeding. The police officer, noticing I was wearing a fire suit, walked up to the car with his hand on his gun. And he looks in the window. He says, "Are you for real?" Well, good thing he had a good sense of humor. He ended up letting us off with a warning. But for more than 30 years, racing was my passion, and I'm forever grateful to all those I've mentioned. And last, I wish to share with you the best advice I ever got in racing. It came from my daughter, Katie, when she was about 5 or 6 years old. One night, after finishing a close second to someone, Katie, bless her little heart, comes up to me and she said, "You know, Daddy, if you passed that car, you would have won." Thank you very much, everybody.